Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual, today we're going to be going over the market. It was a pretty slow day, fairly sideways, nothing too crazy, but nonetheless, we'll talk about what happened and what to expect. So Tesla ending the day in the green, up just a tad, 0.23%, which is about a raise of $1.65 from where we opened, which is a closing price of 716.49. Now, the most important part today, in my opinion, is the fact that we closed down. We opened all the way over here. We closed all the way down, or sorry, opened rather, and dropped all the way down to 690, and we actually bounced off of that pretty aggressively and then maintained all up in this kind of 715 average-ish level for the majority of the day, if not the whole day after that, which in my opinion, is really, really good. Now, I did say how, personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see 680, but that better damn hold. At this point, if 690 is essentially the level that we get the drop to instead of 680, and that's perfectly fine with me. The point is that as long as we drop somewhere in this general range and we bounce, which we did so far, which is promising, I like that. I'm very, very happy about that. That's a good sign. I think that's a fantastic sign. So to me, Tesla is looking like it's getting ready, man. Like it really just looks like it wants to go. It wants to run, it wants to go, and all we need is just a little bit of a push, essentially, is what it feels like. Because the bounce is almost perfect as to what I would more or less want to see. And the fact that not even a 1 hour candle closed below here and set up a beautiful hammer candle on the 1 hour, pretty much signified that we're gonna get a beautiful move up like this. Now, the biggest thing that we want to look out for is a break above 720. The second we break above 720, I think it's game on. I really do. So tomorrow, if we pretty much break above 720 at any point in the day tomorrow, or essentially for the rest of the week, if at any point starting tomorrow up until I guess Friday, we break above 720, that's it. I think we're breaking out, and I think that's going to be essentially the catalyst that we were looking for in order to start, essentially doing what this should have done, which is essentially just start running and actually having an overall run up back to like the mid 800s. Now, keep in mind, guys, it doesn't mean that the second we break out, that means we're just gonna go green up to 850. Very well, very good chance that in between that there is of course some red, some drops, blah blah blah. Perfectly normal, but I do expect it to be fairly explosive, so we'll see what happens with that. But all in all, I think even though it was a fairly sideways, boring day, I think the fact that we came all the way down to 690 and bounced off of that, in my opinion, is a very good sign. The candle looks quite decent as well, actually quite good in my opinion. You can see that not only is it ending well above where we open, it's a very nice, fairly full solid green candle. Would have been nicer to end at around 719 to 720, would have been even better, but nonetheless still pretty good, right? Shows a lot of buying pressure here, so it's essentially like a hammer candle. Could be a little bit of a cleaner hammer candle in my opinion, but nonetheless a pretty decent looking hammer candle overall. I would have liked the wick at the bottom to be a little bit longer, so if we went all the way down to 680 and then went all the way up here, that would have been juicy as hell in my opinion. But nonetheless, a promising candle nonetheless. So again, I just want to see a break of 720 at this point, so that's the biggest level to look for more upside. The second we break 720, we're pretty much good to go. In terms of the Bollinger Band, you can see we're still kind of getting rejected at the white part of the Bollinger Band, so that's going to be something you have to wait for. The moving average, let's take a look very quickly at the 10 moving average. So you can see we are essentially right at the 10-day moving average, which is currently sitting at 716. So we pretty much closed right at the 10-day moving average. If we go over to the 5-day moving average, that thing is still well above that, so that's going to definitely improve as some resistance as we break out. So we'll see what happens with that. But at the moment, I do like the place that we're sitting at. I still think there's a chance that we can potentially drop one more time, but as long as that drop essentially holds the way we did similar to today, I think we're definitely in good standing. The overall key levels are still as to what I've always been saying, where ideally I want 700 to hold, but if we break below that, I want something like this to happen, where it breaks below, bounces somewhere around this level, maybe even 680, but then gets sucked up relatively fast, hopefully, which is exactly what happened here. Pretty much, well, not exactly, but close enough. 690, 680, close enough. So if that happens again, that's obviously really, really good. I don't think it will. I think maybe we'll potentially drop down to like maybe 707 maybe tomorrow. I don't see us dropping that low, and the reason is because it just doesn't seem to make sense on a technical level. So I wouldn't be surprised to potentially drop to around this kind of resistance support area, around this kind of 707 level, where we're constantly bouncing between. which would make sense to me, right? You can see here, we bounced right here, kind of bounced here, got some resistance here, got some support here, resistance here, you know, so, resistance here, some support here. So this kind of 707-ish level, 706, 707 level seems to be a decent level. So potentially a drop there tomorrow, and then most likely a bounce off of that. And assuming we do, and then assuming we break 720, I think it's time to party, essentially. That's pretty much what I'm seeing now. On the 1 hour chart, I want to take a very quick look at the Bollinger Band. So you can see it did explode a little bit, and now it's starting to contract, and then we're starting to get tighter over here. So we're definitely have to see what happens with that situation here. You can see it's getting substantially tighter and tighter and tighter. It's getting like substantially tighter. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens. Again, I personally think there's a lot more things pointing to upside than to downside. Now, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to go up. There's definitely still an absolute chance of us failing down to the downside and breaking downwards and pretty much plummeting quite fast, because this is getting tight and long, right? The longer it is and the tighter it is, the more explosive the move will be. And the fact that, you know, if it goes to the downside, it'll be a pretty aggressive move to the downside, but also to the upside. So it really just depends on where it goes. But again, as I've stated several times, I personally think there's more signs pointing to upside than to downside. But again, that's also not to say that the downside, you know, element or whatever, or possibility is completely removed either. It's definitely not. But yeah, all in all, I'm liking the way it looks. The RSI is still looking good, still chilling well above the moving or the average of the RSI over here. There's really not a whole lot to talk about that I haven't already. The main thing that I also really like, of course, is the fact that we're still holding this overall head and shoulders pattern, right? Of course, being the head here and the two shoulders on, you know, the left shoulder and the right shoulder over here, which is great. We're still kind of in this bullish flag with a cup and handle sort of as well. So all in all, like I'm liking the way it's looking, guys. I really am. I really like the way it looks. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling excited. I bought a little bit today. I kind of traded the choppiness market today very slightly. Didn't make too much of it, honestly, but you know, nonetheless made a, you know, a little bit of money. But essentially, once we dropped over here, around here, I ended up adding, and I'm just going to hold that most likely. And then if we drop to this level of 707 and bounce, I'm probably going to add a bit more, and then probably get ready for the run, which I really think we're going to get a rally coming up here. I mean, if you take a look at the VIX, of course, other things that you can, you know, can kind of solidify that. The VIX is dropping out of this box, which is great, but there's one final resistance left, in my opinion, before we can really get excited, and that's going to be this red line over here, which it is currently bouncing off of, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if we potentially get a bit of a dip tomorrow, as the VIX potentially rallies back up to like 24.5 from this level, which would be about a rally of about, you know, 2 to 3%. Wouldn't be surprised, and then potentially, you know, somewhere around this kind of 3% level, it gets rejected, and then probably finally breaks out of this general kind of wedge that it's in to the downside. And if that happens, and if you ever see the VIX drop below this, that's also, in my opinion, another sign that we're most likely getting ready to rally, and things are looking damn good. The SPY, you can see here, it's just really trying its best to kind of, you know, rally out of this kind of range. So this kind of 417-ish levels, they definitely want to break out of that. Same with the QQQ, which is going sideways at the moment. But to me, this is also fantastic. This is essentially a consolidation, because this is, it doesn't always have to be a bull flag. It could be a bull pennant, which is kind of what we're seeing over here. So if we go to the 1 hour, right, you can see, you know, on, I guess we'll look at the SPY. It's a little bit nicer. You know, we had a nice little rally over here, and now we're kind of getting this kind of bull pennant-ish, if you will, that we're going sideways in, and as it gets tighter and tighter and tighter, as the range and the bounces that it goes, you know, zigzagging between get smaller and smaller and smaller, that's when you know a move is imminent. And it's going to happen very, very soon. So, you know, potentially some more, you know, sideways action, in my opinion, for the, you know, for the remainder of the week, maybe tomorrow, maybe even Thursday. But I genuinely would be surprised if at some point in this week, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, we don't get a move. It doesn't essentially break out of this pattern or this little, you know, sideways action that it's doing. Again, I think there's more things pointing to upside than to downside. So we'll see what happens, of course. But yeah, I'm feeling good, guys. I'm feeling bullish. I really am. And yeah, nothing else to really say that I haven't said already. I'm just overall, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. I cannot wait to see what happens. And yeah, I just think we need a couple more days, really, and then I think we potentially might rally. I think it's looking good. So, all that being said and done, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow for the update. Peace.